What's up, gamers? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Short Pause Presents Tower Talk. This is our third one, and boy, Brent, Bungie's keeping us busy with these things. We're constantly having things to talk about with Destiny, so that's exciting. So I'm Ben, that's Brent, and joining us for the first time on this particular program, Mr. Bender Holt, the legendary warlock himself. What's going on, dude?
Yeah. Not too much, guys. It's good to join you here to talk about this reveal. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. So, obviously, Brent, over the last few weeks, we've been talking about Bungie's been teasing us with what's coming up with Destiny 2, with the Warmind DLC, with Season 3, with even some stuff from Season 4 they've been teasing us with. But it's all been building to the live stream that they put out today, a 1-hour live stream that officially revealed like our first like hard concrete information about the Warmind DLC that's coming to Destiny 2 on May 8th. So, what do you say we hop right into this, because there's a lot to discuss. So, so they had several developers from throughout Bungie, and even had some guys from Vicarious Visions on there too, who are a big part of the development of the Warmind DLC. It's very interesting to see that that was some of the things that we had heard, kind of some rumblings about before Destiny 2 came out. Them bringing in Vicarious Visions to help with the development of this game, specifically for expansion type stuff. So it's good to see the fruits of their labor coming to fruition here with the Warmind DLC. They mentioned that this has been in the cards for some 2 years now. So pretty cool that they were able to kind of link up, and hopefully this means we'll be getting exciting content for Destiny in the coming years with them partnered up together. So the first thing, now we saw a little teaser yesterday, a teaser that to get us excited about the Warmind DLC, and we find out we're going to the ice caps of Mars as anticipated, to an area called the Mars Hellas Basin. And we got our first glimpse of it in action here with the reveal today. So we have the polar ice caps, and we're obviously central to this story is Rasputin, the Warmind. So we found out that just the little tidbits they've thrown out about the story here, but apparently Rasputin born on Mars. This is kind of his birthplace, and we're gonna figure out how he got from Mars to Earth, and all this kind of stuff's gonna be revealed. But he's woken up on Mars, and there's lots of stuff going on right now. There's war sats being called down. There's stuff flying through the sky, and all of this activity is actually melting the ice caps on Mars, and it's brought forth this kind of forgotten race of Hive that was kind of trapped in the polar ice caps. So they almost got the Captain America treatment. And now that the ice caps are melting, the Hive are coming back to life in this area. So we found out that Anna Bray, as anticipated, going to be involved in this DLC. She's going to be our shepherd through this DLC, our point of contact, our vendor when it's all said and done. She has a history with Destiny. She's been in the Grimoire throughout the years, so it's cool that we're finally going to get to meet her. The game's dropped several hints about Anna Bray too, which is cool. We found a few of them over the months and weeks. There's that one area in the tower. You remember, Brent, with the
Yep.
the diary. I think Bender, I think you were with us when we went up there and scoped that out as well. We have the Arecibo mission, the adventure on the Io, or maybe I think it's on Io. There's the Arecibo mission, which kind of directly leads in to this DLC here. So it's cool because Bungie mentioned they were going to do this prior to Destiny 2. They were going to kind of give us little hints about where they were going with the future of the game, and they've held true to that. So so we saw the area here, a much bigger area than Mercury, it appears, and we know that because right away we see them pull out the Sparrow. So we know that if you have access to the Sparrow, if you're going to be motoring around on that thing, that this has to be a sizable area in order to move around on that. We saw the descriptions of the areas as well, so that lets me know that there's multiple areas on the planet that we'll be going through. So yeah, looks like a fun area. We only got to see that one little corner of it there, so we don't know how expansive this is or what else we're gonna get to see. But yeah, exciting to know that this is going to be a bigger area. Obviously, there'll be whole new story missions, brand new adventures, all that kind of stuff. We're going to learn about the history of Clovis Bray, Anna Bray, the Warminds, some stuff that's really central to the lore of Destiny that's been developed over the last 4 years. A lot of questions that people have about how all this stuff works. So I'm excited to see, what little bits of story they add to the overall thing here. So Brent, let me come to you first, man. What do you think of the Mars Hellas Basin? What do you think we've seen of this new area? What do you think of the kind of tidbits and little teases they gave us in terms of the story here? Your thoughts on the polar ice caps of Mars as a
I
setting?
liked. I think it looks really, really good, man. It's a beautiful looking setting. Obviously, like you mentioned, this is going to be a much bigger area. Mars was a big area in Destiny One, and there's going to be a lot to explore here.
Hmm.
We saw little things hidden under bridges that Deej quickly decided not to talk about, but he did point a few things out there.
Yeah,
And
and those things too, Brent. You find those in that Arecibo mission.
mhm,
They're little like mini Warmind sculptures
yes.
almost, and they play music, or at least in that mission they did, and they kind of led you around on this search. So
Mhm.
yeah, interesting to see those pop up there.
Yeah, and we saw a public event kick off, the Witches Ritual, I believe it was
Hmm.
called.
Yep.
So we know there's gonna be public events here as expected.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited to check this area out, man. This is Mars. It's gonna be a big area. I liked how they talked about Clovis Bray, how this is kind of like the Wayland Yutani,
Yeah.
a corporation of the Destiny
Yeah.
universe, which
That
is
was
an
a
awesome
nice
reference.
drop from DJ.
Yeah, I really like that they mentioned that. So you got this mysterious corporation. We're gonna probably figure out what they're behind. So yeah, I'm really excited to check out Mars, dude.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting point he made. Where that's kind of like a core tenet of sci-fi over the years, like the shadowy corporation that's
Hmm.
developed something that goes awry or whatever. And Clovis Bray is that in the Destiny universe. Bender, what'd you think, man? What'd you think of what you saw from the Mars Hellas Basin? Just have you Jones in to get back to the Red Planet?
Yeah, I was happy with what I saw from the new area on Mars. I know a lot of people are probably going to complain like, "Oh, I wanted to go to a new area or a new planet or whatever," but I mean, I thought it looked cool. Definitely looked way different from the Mars that we've become familiar with from Destiny 1.
Hmm.
I love that they showed the skybox. It looked really awesome with like the things burning through the sky, and you
Hmm.
saw Phobos in the distance and in
Yep.
orbit, which looked really really cool.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it overall it looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm cool with going back to Mars, especially because we're gonna be in a brand new area, an icy area, which is
Hmm.
a setting that we haven't seen in Destiny yet, really up to this point. I mean, we've had some snow-capped mountains and stuff in like the Rise of Iron, but we haven't really like experienced an icy setting like this before. So yeah, I'm curious to see. That one Crucible map we saw looks really cool. That's a much different setting than we've come to see in Destiny over the years. We also got to see the prologue for the game, much like
Hmm.
they showed us with Curse of Osiris. When we saw Osiris come on, be a badass, and kind of get that whole thing started. We see Anna Bray. We're introduced to her in the prologue of Warmind here. We see her. She's kind of I guess she's out to kind of look into her past a little bit.
Hmm.
She mentioned she had an interesting mention there about Guardians aren't supposed to look into where they came from or their past or whatnot, but she's kind of bucking the trend with that. Something is amiss on the polar ice caps of Mars. She has a history here with her family, but yeah, this Hive threat, and we see at the end of this, she engages some frozen thralls, and she kind of disposes of them in flashy fashion, and then we see this large, imposing figure kind of hovering over her at the end there. So we're not sure if this is some new Hive threat or this is something to do with Rasputin. Not sure, but yeah, Bender, what'd you think of what we saw from Anna Bray? Are you excited to learn more about her? Do you like where they're going with the story here? Are you intrigued by this?
I am, yeah. I'm glad they didn't show very much or say
Yeah.
very much about the story itself, because
Hmm.
that's something that we're going to definitely want to discover on our own as we play through. But yeah, I'm always happy to meet new characters and learn more about them. And I mean, Anna Bray is a character that we've you know heard whispers of, or at least
Hmm.
heard things, little bits of pieces of information in the lore throughout Destiny's history. So it'd be cool to learn more about her and see what kind of character she is.
Yeah, she's a legendary hunter, if I'm not mistaken. Brent, how does that make you feel, man?
Well, from that trailer, she was kicking everyone's ass, which is expected of hunters. So I dig it.
Yeah, we got the warlocks in the last expansion with the Curse of Osiris. Now we're gonna focus in on the legendary gunslinger Anna Bray and her family. Do you like where the story threads are going, Brent? Is this something you've been curious about with the Destiny universe? Is kind of the Bray Corporation and the Warmind?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like this is going to this kind of has more of like a sci-fi thriller vibe to it. We're going to try to figure, like you said, we got the shadowy corporation, but then we also got this badass Anna Brand. I mean, she's out there seriously. She's a very acrobatic character. She's out there doing ninja moves, all these hives. So I think that's really cool. It looks like based on what we've seen so far, we're not going to get a new race of enemies. We're going to get a variation of Hive that we haven't seen before, which I'm cool with. I mean, we were all kind of wondering, are we going to get new enemies, like a new enemy race? It doesn't appear so at this point. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen further along in the story, but as of right now, it looks like we're just going to get another variation of the Hive race.
Yeah, I mean, are you disappointed in that at all? When it comes down to it, man, a new enemy race in a quote unquote smaller DLC was always kind of a pie in the sky thing.
Right,
for us. We may have beefed it up over the months and in our minds convinced ourselves that was a possibility. But any trepidation now that it's just a variation of the Hive, even though it looks cool, we got these icy Hive. I do like the look of them.
No issues with it. I mean, like I said, it would have been awesome. Man, we got a new race. Yes, absolutely. But I mentioned it last show. The only thing I want here out of this, man, if we're gonna get another variation of an existing race, I want to see content. And we're gonna talk about the content that we're gonna be getting here because we're gonna get a lot of it, dude.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Bender? Any disappointment that we didn't get this new enemy race that many people thought may have been a possibility, or are you was that were you always kind of like, yeah, that's really a pie in the sky thing for this particular DLC?
Yeah, I'm not really disappointed by that. I was never really expecting them to do a new enemy race for this particular DLC. If they do that, I could see them doing it on the larger expansion, like in September, most likely.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen there, it's probably not going to happen until Destiny 3, I guess. but yeah, that'd be most likely where they would drop a new enemy races in the big expansion.
Yeah.
But I'll be fine. We've fought the Hive a lot before, so we can do it again. Hopefully these new variations will act a little bit differently maybe and have some different moves and stuff to keep us on our toes, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how they play up the ice angle, if at all, with this new race of Hive and see how that all factors in. So from there, fellas, we got to kind of the big thing that we were all wondering about, like the big star of the show, the Escalation Protocol, the new activity that's coming to Destiny 2. So Brent, you and I have talked about this over the past few weeks. You've had a lot of theories about what this could be, or what this would eventually end up being. So we now know that this is an event that takes place in a public area, much like the Archon's Forge or the Court of Oryx in Destiny 1. It can be activated by anyone at any time as long as they have finished the campaign. This does not become available to you until you finish the campaign. So once you've done that, you can then activate the Escalation Protocol. So this legitimately operates as an endgame activity, and they've talked about a challenge that equates to that. There's a little tower that's in the outskirts of Mars near Rasputin. You activate it, it supposedly attracts the Hive to the area. So when you activate this, it starts this wave-based survival mode where all these different Hive come, and you kind of survive wave after wave that gets increasingly more difficult. So obviously a horde mode type of theme that we've seen done in many games over the years, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty cool here in Destiny 2. There's 7 total waves. The 7th wave is a unique boss fight that rotates every single week. There's 5 of them in total. So much like the Prison of Elders every week would rotate through bosses, this has a unique boss at the end. So whereas waves 1 through 6 have a normal, like a bunch of enemies rush in, you have to fight them and then fight a sub boss at the end of that wave. At the 7th wave, all that kind of goes to the wayside, and we get a big, like, huge end boss that has different mechanics that you've got to figure out. So almost like a raid style boss at the end of this activity that you're gonna have to figure out each and every week. So that's pretty exciting. The bosses sound like they have different items that they drop as well. So we're gonna get different different things from different bosses, which is really cool. That'll keep us playing and grinding week after week. We saw glimpses of some of those things, like that shotgun. The one where you melee somebody and then it gives you a damage boost for like a few seconds afterwards, which is awesome. First of all, that shotgun looks sweet as hell, and then all the weapons have that kind of Warmind look to them. They have almost that Rise of Iron kind of a look to them, that robotic style look that we saw
Hmm.
from that raid, the Wrath of the Machine. So they have that kind of look, and then yeah, this shotgun, you're already at close range using the shotgun. So to just pop somebody with your melee, especially with a warlock who has a ranged melee, so you can imagine
Hmm.
being at shotgun distance, using one of your warlock melees, and then just pumping the guy full of your enhanced shotgun bullets. That's gonna be awesome. So can't wait to see what what other weapons we're gonna see. They talked about this sniper with the box breathing perk.
Yes.
So it also has as triple tap, which returns shots to the magazine rounds to the magazine after precision shots. So, and along with box breathing, the longer you aim down the sights, the more powerful your ammo gets, which sounds pretty awesome for a sniper. So some really cool new perks that they're adding to the mix here. Um, so I mean, just off that, like Brent, what'd you think about what you saw from the Escalation Protocol, man?
It's not so much, what we saw. I mean, this looks really, really cool, but it's the stuff that we learned about how this is going to work. Like you mentioned, there's 5 different unique bosses that's going to rotate out weekly. So, and these are all, some of these bosses are going to have drops that are specifically, assigned to them.
Hmm.
So this is going to be something you're going to want to grind on, and this is going to be something you're going to work really hard at and get into and do as many times as you can, because you're going to want to get those drops. But from what we saw though, this looks incredibly intense. I mean, it starts off slow,
Hmm.
when you first start, but as this mode continues on, it gets more and more chaotic, and that's just something I want to do. I want to hop in there with you guys, go to Mars, and set this thing off. And if there's a bunch of people in the area, we bring in a bunch of guardians. This is going to be intense. This is going to be really, really fun.
Yeah, and what we saw barely even scratched the surface. I mean, we saw like the first couple waves, so we haven't
Hmm.
even got to waves 4, 5, 6, and obviously 7 with the massive boss at the end. So it's only gonna ramp up from there. But yeah, I like that they said that they were talking about they want this to be an activity that you can go home at the end of the night, that you can really challenge yourself and grind. They mentioned that themselves as developers, they want something they can go home to and really like challenge themselves at the end of the day. In fact, when they had the community members from Destiny over at Bungie this past week, they actually asked them to make it even more challenging, and they kind of made like an 11th hour fix that same day. I thought that was a really cool story. It's always cool to get these little development insights to see what goes on at the studios and whatnot. But Bender, what'd you think of the Escalation Protocol, man? Is this something that you're gonna want to get into and grind for these items?
Yeah, definitely. I thought it looked pretty sweet. I like that it's kind of like a public event mixed with a horde mode.
Yeah.
I like that you could activate it whenever you want. After you finish the campaign, I mean, they mentioned that you can like just grind it out all day if you want. Just keep
Yeah.
activating it over and over again if you
Yes.
want to keep
Hmm.
doing it, which is awesome. Like that there's rotating bosses. I hope that the bosses have like mechanics to try to figure out to try to beat them instead of just being a bullet sponge.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they,
You
they
know,
did mention in the stream that the bosses would have mechanics, so I think we will see that there.
that's good. Yeah, kind of like the ones in the Court of Oryx. So you had to
Yeah.
actually do special things to take them down,
Yeah, yeah.
which was really cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of special weapons they have that you can grind for. And I really like that Valkyrie thing that
Yeah.
they showed. It's like a flaming javelin that you can throw at people or
Yep.
Yeah,
something, and
you can throw
also
it
use it as a
or
melee.
melee. Yeah.
Yeah, that looked pretty sweet. I can't wait to try that thing out.
Yeah, and we saw that in the teaser trailer, Brent. You and I were talking about it. We were like, at first thought it was maybe a new subclass. Then they're
Mhm.
like, maybe it's a new weapon type. It's actually something similar to like the hammer from Rise of Iron. It's a special weapon that
Mhm.
will be available in certain situations. But yeah, this is this is something where if people really like get into that Valkyrie and really dig it, like this is something I could see Bungie like adding a new weapon type down the line, because that thing does look awesome.
Yeah, it
Just
does.
the things you can do with it. And yeah, they were talking about you get like armory tokens that you either get from around the
Yep.
world or from the exercise itself, and that's how you gain access to the Valkyrie. So I thought that was kind of sounds like a cool system. I can see being out in the world and picking up those armory tokens and be like, hell yeah, next time we go do the protocol, I'm gonna get the Valkyrie in this wave and do this and that. And yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, some other things to mention from this, we saw the sword of Crota basically
Mhm.
in the activity as well, so you're gonna have access to the Hive sword. And when that thing came on screen, it was getting pretty chaotic. There were wizards all over the place. The Hive was really starting to bear down, and that was only like the second or third wave. So it's only going to get more intense from there. We know that waves 3 and 5 will spawn chests at the end of them, so you'll have access to those. The big chest, though, the one that gives you access to these high level items that you can only get from these activities, sound like they spawn with the boss wave at the seventh and final wave. So they talked about really needing to coordinate your movement, your strategies as well. So they talked about like who's gonna bring what armor and what perks and who's gonna be what style of guardian and whatnot. So I like that that's gonna be a factor in this as well. Yeah, just a lot of cool stuff here. Brent, any one question I had about this, any issue with the fact that this is a public area that anybody can join it? Um, any worry that maybe the challenge could dwindle because maybe there's just 10 guys running around and everybody's in this activity fighting these enemies? Is there a little bit of trepidation with that, or any worry that it might get too easy with everybody jumping in there?
I'm sure that's always, a concern, and I'm sure Bungie's aware of that concern, and I'm sure there's tweaks they could make to it to make it even more difficult if need be. But early on, we talked about the last show. This is going to be a grind. This isn't going to be, it's not going to be every day you're going to get 385 people in there. I mean, this is going to be a very difficult event. And with the way that the new power levels are going to work, it's going to take a while before there's a lot of badasses in there. So, I mean, that is a concern, but this might not come into play until closer to September when the new content drops anyways.
Yeah. I was a little taken aback at first. I was kind of, as I was watching, I was like, man, I was really hoping this was gonna be more like the Prison of Elders. You can kind of a separate activity that you can go in there with a specified amount of guardians or whatnot. But the more it went on, the more they started to talk about it, and they kind of showed like how this thing's gonna play out. I'm actually okay with it being in that public area because, like you said, it's not it. And just like the Court of Oryx, that was in a public area, and I never felt like there was too many guardians in there at any one time. It always seemed like there was just the right amount of people running around, and if you got into an activity, somebody was around to jump into. It was never like 10 guys like rushing there and you just tore through the court. So yeah, like you said, I'm sure they've thought about that. So but yeah, hell, when we're like grinding through those waves and we get to like 6 or 7 and we're getting our ass handed to us, we're probably gonna be looking around like, dude, can somebody jump in here, please, and help us defeat this thing. What'd you think about that, Bender? Were you upset at all that this is in a public space, or are you totally okay with this?
I'm totally okay with it. Like you said, with the Court of Oryx, I mean, it was, for me, when I was playing the Court of Oryx, it was always a welcome sight to see other Guardians joining in, because sometimes it would get a little hairy and be like, oh man, I keep dying or something like that.
Those level 3 bosses in the court, those wax the floor with me plenty of times.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think it'll be just the same way with this. Just, the more the merrier. It's still gonna be fun and challenging, whether it's 5 people or 10 people or whoever.
Yeah, seriously, I can't wait to play Escalation Protocol. I mean, this looks like exactly like what we wanted to get with this expansion. We were talking about a Prison of Elders type activity, a new endgame activity that we could really sink our teeth into. And with 7 waves and unique bosses and unique rewards, including armor and weapons, like there sounds like there's going to be some good stuff that you can only earn in this activity. And also, too, they mentioned that the items you earn in this activity are going to help you in this activity. Like the perks are going to be specially designed to enhance your experience with the Escalation Protocol. So that's great to see stuff like that returning. Obviously, that was a big part of the raid stuff in Destiny 1, there was raid-specific perks. So it's great to see that we're going to get that type of loot in Destiny 2 with the Warmind DLC. And hopefully there's more of that to come. So great stuff from Escalation Protocol. But that wasn't it, fellas. Then we went into what they're planning to do with the Crucible and with some of the exotic weapons in the Season 3 update. So first and foremost, obviously we know private matches are coming. Those will be a thing. You'll have access to whatever maps via the DLC that you've purchased. So Obviously you'll have access to all the vanilla Destiny 2 maps. If you've purchased Curse of Osiris or Warmind, you will have access to those in private matches as well. If not, all those will show up in the playlist for everybody, regardless of if you own the DLC or not. So that's definitely a cool change. And then we saw our first glimpse of the Crucible rank system. Once again, Brent, something we've talked about over the last couple of weeks on Tower Talk here, just what they're planning to do with this Crucible rank system and how this is going to look. And I like what we saw here. So first of all, we've got the Valor system, which is obviously the just the one you get credit for playing. Basically, it's like the everybody gets a medal mode. So you go into Valor, you play the match, you complete the match, you earn Valor. If you win that match, you do rank up your Valor, so it goes up faster. So there is a little carrot at the end of the stick to actually win, and you can actually prestige your Valor, for lack of a better term. So you can rank your Valor up to its max stat. You can reset it and go back to the beginning, and they actually said there's rewards tied to that. So I could see there being some cool stuff tied to how many times you can prestige your Valor or whatnot over the course of a season. So very, very curious to see what that looks like. And then of course there's Glory. So this is the one this one's going to be tough, man. So Glory, you get credit for wins and you get decked for losses. So, and there's also streaks associated with this, which is cool. So if you get on a winning streak, you get more credit. But they also said in Glory, there's a losing streak as well. So if you get on a roll and you start losing 2 or 3 matches in a row, they'll just deduct more points than they normally would. So,
man,
whew, so that sounds brutal. But that's obviously only going to be available in the competitive mode. So it fits that type of gameplay, and actually that sounds really exciting. It's gonna bring a whole new level of intensity to these Crucible matches with these ranks in there now, and it looks like it's gonna be worth it too. Because not only are we getting, the Valor points and the emblems and things that go with this, there's going to be loot, real tangible usable loot that's tied to these items, which we'll talk more about in 1 second, but. But Brent, just your thoughts, man, on the Valor, the Glory system, and what they're doing with the Crucible here in Season 3.
This sounds awesome. I mean, obviously the Glory one sounds really, really cool because Valor is the one for quick play.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I like that they had that because that never drops. So that's just going to show how much time you put into it. You'll be able to see who the seasoned veterans are in Crucible. But it's Glory that really appeals to me, despite our showing in the Iron Banner last week. God, if we were running on that right now, based on our performance from last week, we'd be at like negative points. It was that bad. But I do like this. You get in there and you grind and you grind. You string a couple of wins together, and you're going to start ranking up that Glory even more and more. So that is super appealing. But what you're going to be talking about in a few minutes is the most appealing part.
Yeah. Bender, what do you think, man? Do you like it? It seems like they've kind of got all their bases covered with the Crucible now, with the ranking system. I like that they have this one that's dedicated to quick players, people that like to get into the Crucible, like to play it. They maybe don't get into like the sweaty palms matches that the competitive crowd does, or the trials crowd. So they have a way that they can rank up, that they can earn rewards through the Valor system. And then you've got that Glory system, which is for the hardcore Crucible players, something they can really sink their teeth into, and really like a medal of honor, a badge of honor they can wear. Like, look at my Glory rank. Like, look how much of a badass I am in the Crucible. Do you like the way that they're doing this here? Do you feel like they've got all their bases covered?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good system. I'm definitely going to be all about the Valor anytime I play because, not that good. If there are negative points for Glory, I would see how big of a negative number I could get. Probably wouldn't have the biggest negative number of any player. No, but it's a cool system. I like that you can be rewarded either way, regardless of what kind of a Crucible player you are. And it sounds like there's going to be some cool rewards for it too.
Yeah. And speaking of those rewards, Bender, you might want to reassess your going for the Glory there, because the Crucible reward. So they've talked about that they're going to completely redo how they do the rewards for the Crucible in Season 3. And this sounds exciting. So you're going to go to Shaxx when Season 3 starts on May 8th. He's going to open up, and basically you'll have almost a series of quests. There's going to be different things you can do, different levels you can reach, different items that are going to be available to you as you hit these different milestones through your Crucible career in Season 3. So that's awesome that they're doing that. We're kind of getting away from just the random tokens and just getting what you get from the Crucible. There's going to be specific items that you'll be able to get. But they also mentioned that they wanted that one like item that everybody wants to chase in the
Yes.
Crucible, and that item is Redrick's Claymore, a gun that is going to be very, very highly sought after. Not only because it's a pulse rifle with Outlaw, which is a fantastic perk, a perk that's getting buffed in Season 3, that actually it eliminates the cooldown on Outlaw when you get a precision kill or a precision shot, which is awesome. So you'll be able to keep Outlaw going, and then it adds this new perk called Desperado. And with Desperado, if you reload while Outlaw is active, it increases your rate of fire, and it does not impact the impact of the gun. So the gun will keep its same amount of damage, but it will fire that much faster with the Desperado perk. So this thing is going to be nasty. There's going to be a lot of people that want to get their hands on this. And to achieve this, you have to hit Fabled rank in Glory, which just sounds like it's going to be hard. Like just to hit a rank called Fabled. But the reward looks to be plenty worth it. It is the kind of the culmination of the Glory rank in Season 3. I love that they're doing this. I love that they're giving people something to really shoot for, especially those people that are hardcore Crucible fans. What do you think, Brent? You gonna try to get your hands on Redrick's Claymore?
Yes, I really want to try to get that. I know it's going to be a grind. I know it won't be easy. It'll probably take me the entire season to get to it, if I'm even able to.
In fact, they said, Brent, on the stream, they were like, I have a feeling this is going to be one of the hardest rewards to earn in Destiny. So the people that have this are really going to be like badasses.
Yeah, that's the one thing I like that he mentioned. I can't remember the gentleman's name from the Crucible. Was it Kevin Yanes?
Yeah, it was Giannis.
Giannis, yeah. And he mentioned, he goes, if you see somebody with this, you know they are badass. Like know they are legit. They are the creme de la creme, and that is really, really cool. I doubt I'll ever get my hands on this thing, but if I can, I know I've arrived, and it just looks awesome. The Desperado perk sounds sweet.
Yeah, sounds great. So Bender, you gonna shoot for the Glory now after we talked about Redrick's? I see some glory in your future, man. What do you think?
I might try, but I'm not super confident that I would be able to get up to that level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like what we've seen from what they're doing with the Crucible, so I'm excited to get my hands on that. And then as they were talking about the Crucible, they also went back into what they're doing with some of the exotics as well, which is really exciting. Now, obviously, Brent, we've talked about this on the show, like some of the things that they're doing with the exotics, but that is undoubtedly the biggest thing that's coming in Season 3 is the exotic pass, where they're basically getting their hands on every single exotic that needs to be tweaked. The ones that are performing adequately, like Vigilance Wing, for instance, I imagine that one's not going to get much work done to it, but some of these other ones, like we've seen what they're doing with the Graviton Lance, we've seen what they're doing with Skyburner's Oath, we see what they're doing with Sturm and Drang, and man, they showed that thing in action too, where somebody's like out there in the Crucible, just ripping through somebody with the sidearm, pulling out the Drang, and just two-shotting somebody with that thing. That thing looks, I mean, in PvE as well. Like, you can imagine like taking out the Drang, and you can load up to a 20. You can load up to 8 extra like high impact bullets into Sturm with what you do with the sidearm. So you can imagine in PvE, and you're in a boss wave, and all the thralls are running around you. You're taking them out with your sidearm. You load those 8 impact bullets into your Sturm. You pull that thing out, and just rip those into the boss. Like, that's awesome. So there's going to be a lot of like cool things you'll be able to do with the strategy on that. But we also saw some new stuff. So we saw the Fighting Lion in action. That thing's getting more ammo. They're changing the way the grenades impact. We saw a Risk Runner.
Yes,
what they're doing with the Risk Runner, they're bringing the Risk Runner perk over into the Crucible as well, to be able to use it in PvP, where you can activate your increased arc damage resistance, which reduces it by half. I think they were saying. So the cool thing is it activates even if you're not currently equipped. It's not currently in your hands, so you could be on your primary kinetic gun or whatever, and you'll get a notification on your screen, and you'll see the perk pop up that your arc overdrive has been activated. You can pull out Risk Runner, get that extra arc damage, and then use the enhanced damage for Risk Runner as well. So so like what they're doing with that hard light, the bouncing bullets do double damage now. So any bullet that ricochets does double damage. Crimson, they've changed that up for the way that thing fires to get kind of a faster time to kill on it. So they're doing some cool stuff with the exotics. Brent, what stood out to you from the exotics they showed on here, that we saw Graviton Lance in action, and Skyburner's Oath as well, that we had already seen previously. But it was cool to see them in action. But from the new stuff that we saw, what stood out to you, if
Oh,
anything?
hard light, dude. I thought
Yeah.
hard light sounded awesome. Not only do the bouncing rounds do 2 times damage, now you can change the element type
Yes.
by just holding down square like Borealis. You don't have to go into the menu to switch it. Just hold down square when
Yeah.
you reload, and that'll change the elemental type. I was mostly excited for Skyburner's Oath, but now hard light, dude, is going to be something I'm going to be bringing to a lot of battles because that is sweet, especially in the PvP or PvE side of things.
Yeah, I mean, the versatility is awesome to just be
Yeah.
able to do that with holding down the reload button. That's great. What about you, Bender? Any of these new exotics stand out to you?
Yeah, that was definitely a standout for me. Was hard light as well.
Yeah,
Just to be able to change the element on the fly is so much easier than
Yeah.
digging through the menus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's incredible how much that gun has improved in Destiny 2 over what it was in Destiny 1.
yeah,
It's such a bad gun in Destiny 1, but the hard light has become one of the better auto rifles.
yeah,
And then I really like the interplay between Sturm and Drang also. Being able to load up those extra bullets and then pull out the Sturm and unload on someone. I think that was really cool.
yeah.
So I'll probably be using that combo more often too.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun to just kind of quick fire that sidearm, rip through enemies, then pull out the Sturm and really like hammer 'em with that high impact damage. I can see some
Mhm.
people getting really, really good with that combo and just really causing some damage in the Crucible. So we will keep our eyes peeled for Sturm and Drang, for sure. And something else we also saw. We didn't see it in the stream here, but we saw what they're doing with the tractor cannon.
Mhm.
How you're going to be able to kind of hit somebody with a tractor cannon bullet, and like, I don't know if they like absorb void or something, and then you can set off an explosion or make them more vulnerable to void damage. Whatever it is, it looks awesome.
It looked
They-
like what it did is he hit Valis with the tractor cannon, and Valis was like surrounded in void.
Yeah,
And then he hit him with a Nova bomb, and then he busted out a sidearm that did void damage. And I
Yeah.
mean, they just eviscerated Valis in seconds. I mean, they had just gotten to the top,
Yeah.
and he was dead. It was incredible. But yeah, it looks like that's what it does. It makes him vulnerable to void damage. They hit him with a Nova bomb, and then the sidearm with void, and it was all over.
yeah, definitely. So, yeah, and that pretty much did it for the stream. So, some exciting stuff in there, some stuff I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on May 8th. Bender, any final thoughts on what we saw from Warmind here?
No, I'm just real excited. I mean, it's, what, 2 weeks away now?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
It's gonna be here before we know it, and can't wait to see what the story campaign is gonna be like and
Mhm.
all that stuff, and see the new weapon changes. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. What about you, Brent? I mean, at first blush, is this what we're looking for from the next piece of Destiny DLC? We've got new endgame activities, new loot to grind for, loot that seems more in line with what we want from Destiny, a new story, a story that's going to explore some lore that we're all very, very curious about in the Destiny universe. Like, could Warmind be to Destiny 2 what House of Wolves was to Destiny 1?
It could, and it needs to be. And from what we saw here, I mean, we saw an awesome end game mode in escalation. That's something I'm going to want to do every single day, and that's what I want to. It looks really, really fun. First of all, it looks really, really fun. But we've been talking about I've been looking for something that's going to get me to want to play Destiny 2 outside of our typical Wednesday night milestone run. And now we're starting to see these modes. I'm going to have a nice campaign to play through. We don't know how long it's going to be. I'm sure we'll find out closer to launch when these preview builds come out. But I want a nice campaign. It sounds like we're going to have a cool protagonist working with Anna Bray. We've got some mysterious Hive that we got to take care of. We got a shady corporation to investigate. So we got some cool stuff in the campaign side of things. The escalation mode it looks like it's going to be fantastic. The Crucible, man, the way they've added these like the Valor and the Glory. you know, normally when I do Crucible, I just do it enough to get called to arms, or if
Mhm.
or when Iron Banner's up. Now
Yeah.
I have incentive to go in there and grind outside of those milestones, which is another reason to get me on to play outside of Wednesdays. So
Mhm.
right now, from where I'm sitting, Warmind is giving me more content, more reasons to grind, more and loot that's behind specific events that are beneficial to those events. That is
Mhm.
awesome. That's the stuff I want. I'm hyped, dude.
Yeah. And we haven't even talked about there's a new raid layer, which obviously they haven't
Yep.
showed. There's a new raid layer to get into in addition to all this. There's the changes that they're gonna be making to faction rallies. We have no idea what they're doing with that. The seasonal crucible rankings or vendor rankings, all
Hmm.
that stuff's changing as well. There's plenty more exotics we haven't seen yet that we're curious to see what's gonna happen to those. So there's stuff that we don't know. The stuff we have seen I'm excited about. They just continue to move in the right direction. They're taking the feedback for this game and continuing to improve on it month after month, week after week. So that's exciting as a Destiny fan. But that is going to do it for us this evening. That's the Warmind reveal. We will, of course, be keeping our eyes on things as they progress. We'll continue to be out here talking about tower talk stuff as the need arises. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all that stuff. Our Twitter handles are on there. You can see where to follow us. Follow us at The Short Pause. www.shortpause.com is the website. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the video. We will see you guys on the other side, Guardians. Have a good one.
Guardians aren't supposed to investigate their past. That's the rule. But I'm not good with rules. Not when there's this much at stake. The Clovis Bray tech in that building allowed us to colonize the system during the Golden Age. They, sought to create peace for all humanity. Which is ironic, because they also built Rasputin, the single most powerful weapon in the solar system. Either way, it's all been entombed on Mars since the collapse. Along with something far more terrifying.